Do, 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 do. That's a catchy tune. I always love that tune. Hey, everybody, it's me, Marmalade, and we've got a special show tonight because we have. Okay, so we've talked with like Miss Raven and Miss Daphne and Miss Dory, and we had Mr. Chris and Miss Diana on, and they all make comic books. But Mr. Perch doesn't make comic books. Nah. But he knows everything about them. And who put the Arby sign up there? That's not funny. I'm trying to do a show here. I'm trying to be professional. Oh boy. I'm sorry. Let's bring Mr. Perch on so we can talk if he's still there. Yeah. Hello, Mr. Perch. Are you there?
Hey, I'm there. Arby's. Oh well, this show is sponsored by. Well, as everybody knows, I love Arby's, so that's great.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good because I was gonna say, get rid of the Arby sign.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. You bring the meats, bring the show.
That's right. Did they give you like a bunch of coupons for saying nice things about them online?
For sure. Yeah. The more I talk about them, the more they get excited. I get coupons. I get free sauce. It's great.
That's awesome. You should share that stuff.
I should.
You could if you do make a comic, you could have like a special tier with all the Arby stuff that got sent to me.
You know, that's I am making a comic, so I'll put that in as one of the tiers. I think it's going to launch here in the next week or so, and I'll put those Arby's tiers right in there.
How come this is the first I'm hearing about that?
There you go. It's new breaking news. Yeah, there will definitely be a comic out soon, and we'll definitely have an Arby's tier. Why not?
Oh, that's going to be awesome. I'm going to back that comic. I'm going to need to raise my allowance.
Okay? Yeah.
Get me some more money.
We're going to keep it really cheap.
So is it like a superhero comic or Western or gorilla with gun? Because that's like a big thing.
It's like sci-fi stuff. It will be fun. It's all part of like this scheme. I'm taking the money that I'm making off the channel, which I didn't want to put ads. I hate ads. I don't know. How about you? Do you like ads?
I've got ads. I think I don't see any money come from them though.
There's not much money there, but so it's just kind of an annoyance. So I thought I'll take this money and I'll give it to some people making comics, and we will get those comics funded so we can sell them cheap. So that's what we're gonna do.
That's the way you do it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna watch for that. So next week we'll look for that.
Yes, it'll be fun.
And maybe you can come back sometime and we can talk about that.
100%. Yes, that's what we're going to do. And definitely we will we'll promote that. It'll be fun. We'll get the content creator that I'm helping out here, and we'll get some of the stuff, but we'll definitely have to do an Arby's tier for sure.
Great. But until that time, kill the Arby's thing. Could you please?
Yeah, you get that Arby's. Yeah.
Thank
you.
you.
Go. Oh, I like that. Yeah. I like how it fell off there. That's good.
Yeah. I'm surprised it didn't go off in a blast or some crashing glass or something, but I don't have the best. I don't have the best technical help, if you know what I mean.
Arby's just kind of slides off the screen. That's what I found.
Yeah, just like it slides off the bun.
Yes, exactly. Or out of your stomach. Yeah, no, it's very good. But I'm really thankful. Thanks for having me on. It's great to talk to you today.
Well, I got so many questions for you because when people have questions about comics, they say, go ask Perch.
Oh.
So I wanted to know, how did you find out so much about comics? Because it's like you got spies in all the comic places.
Oh yeah. Well, it's kind of two ways. I think it's a lot of failing. The best way you learn is you try something, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You learn from your mistakes. And
I should be really smart by now.
I'm old. Yes, right. I've been doing this for more than 30 years. So I'm old. And you made a lot of mistakes, so you learn good things from those mistakes. But the other thing about comics is when you're running a shop and you're helping people sell things, comic artists, more artists and writers, they like money. So if you offer, it's a crazy thing. So if you offer to give them money, they'll show up and they'll like sign comics and they'll do nice things with the fans, and you learn good things from that.
So I keep hearing that like comic shops are going away, like they're dinosaurs, and they're going to be like, fossils of archaeologists are going to look up in 1,000 years and say, hey, this is a place they must have sold comic books.
Yeah. No, I definitely we worry about all that. Everybody is, they like to just sit at home and click on their computers and get things. So that experience is changing, but people also do like to go to stores and buy things. And I think that comic shops, there's a place for them. I think people like going to this place where they get to just see comics all around them. There's something still kind of fun about that. And there's still money you can make.
Yeah, I love to go like I go to the comic shop and I start pawing through the dollar bins there and
Sure.
finding out what's in there because it's like there's really cool stuff that you don't hear about or you didn't hear about. Um, and I
Yeah.
guess it all comes from Indiana because my dad says that they're indies.
Yeah, that's true. Everything's in Indiana. That's where the majority of the comic shops are for sure. They're all kind of right in there in that Indiana place and Alaska for some reason. Just those two places.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Because he says indie comics are the best comics, and then the ones made in Washington, they're the DC brand. So
Mm.
yeah, they're
Ah,
they're I don't know, they're not so good. He says anymore, but I don't know. He doesn't
no.
let me read all of them.
Oh, really? That's too bad.
Well,
What?
I'm only 9 years old, so he says that
Oh,
there's like not many books out there. Well, okay, so you're the guy to ask. What books can I go and buy for like a 9-year-old?
oh man. I mean, for kids, for people your age, there's unfortunately there's not a lot out there because the problem is a lot of the people who are making the books for your age, they don't really know how to write for your age. So they write this weird what they think kids are like, but it winds up being kind of creepy and strange. So it's tough.
Why don't they
That's
just go ask the kids?
They should just go ask the kids. But who is asking the kids is right now Scholastic, and weirdly, this is the weird part. Comics that are being made in Japan seem to be doing a better job of talking to the kids in the U.S. about what they want.
That's
It's,
kind of
we-
funny
it's
too,
weird,
because it's
right?
like, yeah, it's a totally different what's that culture? It's different culture, but it talks to our kids.
It's very strange. So they seem to have a better connection to the kids. So right now that stuff is working really well. Comics from Japan, Korea, those places are going great.
But I don't want to go to Japan to buy books. That's too far.
Well, that's the good part is they're shipping them to you here in the U.S.
Well, that's great. So
Yeah.
so so when so that means that there are lots of comic sales then still.
There are, I mean, there's so many. The crazy part, there's lots of comics out there for everybody for sure. But what a lot of people get confused about is you probably heard of Marvel and DC, right? You know those companies.
Yeah,
One of the strongest companies right now is this company called Viz. Do you know about Viz?
I don't know about Viz. What's Viz?
Viz is just a simple, small little company, but right now they are making just money everywhere from bringing in Japanese comics, manga comics, and selling them here in the US. I don't know if you've heard of things like My Hero Academia and
Oh
Demon
yeah,
Slayer. Yeah.
yeah. I know him.
So right now, Viz is just making crazy amounts of money, and it's funny. They're one of the strongest companies right now, but nobody ever talks about them.
Yeah. So that's the manga stuff.
That's the manga stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
crazy
yeah,
name, but it
because
works.
they had some at a shop I went to with my dad one time, and I had a whole stack of it because I was like, "This is cool Japanese comic stuff." And
It's
and I
it's
had My Hero Academia, and I had like May the Psychic Girl, and I
yeah.
had like Demon Beast Invasion. I didn't have all the comics when I got to the counter. I don't know what happened to some of them. My dad took them, and then there was a smaller stack, but I
Yeah,
had
that
stuff.
does happen. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I
Um,
think he took them. I don't know.
well, sometimes these comics. The funny part about comics, that manga comics, is that they, everything will be fine for like your age, and then for whatever reason, right in the middle, they'll just like 3 or 4 pages that are crazy, not appropriate, but then it'll go back to being okay.
That's not good though, because I want to know what happened on those pages.
Well, I'm sure you do, but you'll find out when you're a little older.
Okay, this will
Yeah,
be like a whole new story when I read it again.
yeah, but we absolutely it would be a very different story when you read it again. That's right.
Okay, so I got a really, really hard question for you.
Yes, I've got it. I've got an answer.
Because I got a Twitter account. I'm
Mm,
at Marmalade CB. So if anybody like wants to follow me on Twitter, yeah,
yeah,
you can do that. But I read the stuff on Twitter, and it's like I love comics, okay, and you love comics, right?
sure.
Okay, so if we all love comics, why is everybody yelling at each other all the time?
It's fun to yell at each other. That's what some people like to yell at each other. They're not happy outside playing ball or whatever they happen to do. The excitement and the entertainment is to yell at each other. So that's what people like to do.
That's like an
And
Olympic sport.
it's like some kind of sport. Yeah. I mean there's words for it that are probably not appropriate for your ears, but yeah, it's that's what is very popular right now, is that kind of just screaming at each other. And for some reason, that's what is entertaining people. But it is, I'm not sure who is actually entertained by that.
Not me. I don't know. It just seems wrong. It's not fun to get yelled at.
No, no, not at
I
all.
get yelled at a lot. It's not fun.
It's terrible. I don't know. I don't know why this happens as much as it does, but everybody's kind of angry right now. So, Twitter is a place where you go to be angry.
Well, maybe I better leave. But
Yeah.
if I leave, then nobody knows when I have a show.
I know that's the dilemma here. That's where the marketing happens, but it's also where the anger and the hatred happens too. It's a terrible mix up.
Maybe I should get another form. Hey, can you sign me up for like one of them? Wait, we just want fans, right? You can sign me up for one of those things where I can just get OnlyFans. That'd be cool, right?
Yeah. OnlyFans
We'll
will be
talk later.
perfect for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go to OnlyFans. Yeah.
Because I don't want any enemies. I just want fans.
Yeah. OnlyFans will give you lots of fans. There's like Tinder is another place that might help. I don't know.
Oh, that's a nice place. It sounds like.
Sounds like a good name. Yeah.
Okay. So, gosh, there's so many books now that they're doing this like what crowdfunding and
Sure.
and we have people on and we talk about it and they look so cool, but my allowance only goes so far.
Yeah, it's well, the problem with crowdfunding is really that it's a bunch of people who are trying to make it on their own. They're trying to get their comic and they're trying to get it going, and they're a one-man shop or two. They're a small group, maybe one woman shop, whatever it might be. I don't judge, but whatever is happening, they're trying to get this comic up and going themselves. But when you're small, you don't have any scale. And so because you don't have scale, your prices are higher. You're not publishing hundreds of thousands of comics. So everything goes up. So you have to charge more. But when you charge more, then you're asking your fans and your supporters to pay more. And so it's a bad cycle. We've got to the challenge is that they've got to find ways to bring some of those costs down. But if they bring the costs down, then a lot of these people who are doing the crowdfunding comics, they're not going to make as much money. It's going to be harder for them to do what they do. A lot of these people are doing it as second jobs, or they're doing it in the night when they have time. It's tough. So there's a hard problem there.
I heard a lot of people that doing it DC and Marvel are doing it as second jobs too, though.
Oh, absolutely, because if money's not good there either. Right now there's just not enough money in comics at all. It's terrible.
So is comics broken like I keep reading?
I mean, I think it is broken. I don't think it's broken like people often say it's broken, but it's broken in the sense that there's not a lot of money in comics. There's not a lot of room for people to maneuver around comics, and everybody wants something that's kind of impossible. The readers, people like yourself, kids, they need to be able to pick up comics for $1. And
that'd be good.
Yeah, no comics for $1. So what do you do? So they want to pay less, but meanwhile, the creators need to get paid more, or people are going to have to keep taking second jobs, or it's just not going to have the best people in comics if they're paid so little. So it's unfortunately it's squeezed at both ends. It's a tough situation.
So if I'm hearing you right, the way to fix comics is print lots more of them and pay people more money.
Well, yeah, there needs to be more money in comics for sure. People need to get paid more. But that does mean that when people are paid more, some of the people currently working in comics, they won't make it anymore. Because part of the problem is when you have people who are really talented or really professional, or hopefully both, they want to be paid well. And so if they look at comics, they go, I can't afford to work in comics. I'm going to go work as a game designer, or I'm going to go work in some other industry because it's too little money. So they don't even try. So what happens is the people working in comics become people who are willing to take that lower amount of money, which maybe are not the best. And maybe they're working those second jobs and distracted. And so that's a bad situation. That's very tough. So you do have to put more money in it. That will attract better talent. But a lot of people don't like that because a lot of the customers and the fans, maybe they're irritated with some of the people in comics. So they're going, I don't want these people making more money. And so that everything gets blocked. It's kind of a stalemate. I know, it's exhausting.
I get disappointed sometimes because it's like, I like comics and I thought I'd like the people who make comics, but sometimes they're mean.
They can be mean for sure. They can definitely be mean. And, everybody's unhappy. I mean, like what's tough, and it's no excuse for being mean, of course, but if you're somebody, and I'm looking today, and there's a comic writer right now who wants to go to a convention, but he doesn't have enough money to afford a hotel room. So he's asking people, can I sleep on your floor? And I think that's like yeah, see, that's a wake up call to everybody to go, wait a minute, the person who's writing this comic is trying to get a sleep on somebody's floor for a
He can come
convention.
sleep on my floor. I'll sleep on the floor. He can sleep in my bed.
Oh, that's very nice of you. I'm sure he would appreciate that. I don't know if you want him in your bed, but you know, I hear you. I hear you. That's very nice of you. It's that's a broken system. When you see that stuff, you can't look at it and go, yeah, everything is fine here.
Okay, so that's just making me sad. I want to talk about something.
All right, we can
a little
make
more happy.
Happy stuff. Let's go to happy stuff.
Yeah. So, how long have you been collecting comics, and do you remember your very first comic book?
Oh man, you know, there's a debate. I've been, let's see, I've been collecting comics probably since I'm gonna go 79, so a long
That's
time.
like a million years ago.
It is like a million years ago, and so I don't know if I thought about it as collecting back then. I was just buying comics, and I want to say it had to be. This is where I don't know if it was Fantastic Four or it was Spider-Man that I started with, but it was one of those two. And that's where that's where it started.
So, do you still have it?
Yes, I do. I still have my first comics. Unfortunately, like I said, I don't know if it's my first comic or I don't know which exactly was the first, but I do have the original comics I cared for, and they look terrible. Like I was a kid, so I was like completely folding them and you know, tracing the pages and learning how to draw. I mean, they're in terrible shape, but I love those comics to death. They're some of the ones I enjoy the most.
So when did you get the idea that you could make money selling comics? Because it doesn't seem like that's such a good business decision.
Well, I mean, you know, I started selling comics right around I can't remember now. It was in 1990 or 91, and it was kind of a small business. It was something that.
Yes, Mr. Perch. Mr. Perch.
It was
Mr.
It was like a.
Mr. Perch. Where you're disappearing.
It looks like I disappeared for a minute. Are you there?
I'm here. I thought the Arby's police came and got you.
Oh, that has to be what it is. I have to be careful with this Arby's talk. I definitely boy, I don't know what happened. I'm gonna say the Pacific Northwest got weird to me there, but anyway, sorry for disappearing for a moment. I hope that wasn't too scary.
It was just your voice. Your picture was still right there.
Yeah, that's yeah. I never leave. I should really show my face, but I don't want to scare people. Do you ever have that problem?
All the time.
Yeah.
They don't get that I'm 9 just because I got like a full beard.
Yeah. Well, you got hair where there was no hair before, and generally that's not what happens when you're 9.
No, usually it waits till you're like 12.
Yeah, for sure. But anyway, the problem with selling comics in the early 90s was great. Like it was a great business decision in the early 90s. There was no problems, and it was better than I expected of things. I had a huge line out the door when Superman died. Did you know Superman died?
Wait, when did that happen?
Well, I think it's actually happened a couple times, but this was the big time it died. He's dying and coming back, but they're selling this comic in a bag, and they had a black armband in that bag, and it was a crazy time. There was a huge line to get into the store, and people were excited to buy that comic, so it was great. You could be a terrible person with business and make money in the early 90s.
Well, I should have done it then, but I wasn't born yet. So.
Yeah.
So what was different then? What changed? Why is it not such a great idea to sell comics now as it was then?
Yeah, I mean, the comics, the problem today, I mean, we went through a couple of problems. So in the early 90s are great. The later 90s were terrible because a lot of people selling comics didn't deliver those comics. So basically you'd order like 200, 300 copies of something, and it would come like 6 months later, and you'd be stuck with a huge bill, and the attention, the appeal had gone by the time the comic actually came out. That was terrible. But in the then things changed. Things kind of stabilized for a little bit. But today, the problem is basically this: comic books are very expensive. They're for casual purchases, they're too much. So the people who are buying comics are a lot of people who have been loving comics for a long time. They're collectors. But what's
They're the
happening,
addicts.
yeah, they're the addicts. They're the people they can't give up now. They've got a complete run. So they just keep buying comics, and is it $4.95, $5.95? They're going to keep buying. But the comic companies are very excited to get new customers, which makes sense. Everybody wants new customers. The
Yeah.
problem is they are trying to get new customers by alienating their old customers, their current customers.
Well,
And
that's
what
stupid.
it is, and what they're learning is the new customers, they will not spend $4 to $5 on a comic. They're used to things for free. So the new customers are not buying things. The old customers are getting angry that the comics that they loved for decades are going away, and nobody's making any money, and that is the problem.
So it sounds to me like the very best thing that could happen to comics is for them to like disappear and then get reinvented all over again.
Well, hopefully it doesn't come to that, but I do think that there's a couple positive signs, and I think the positive signs are they may be strange. This I don't know if you're familiar with Webtoon. Have you ever looked at Webtoon?
Spider-Man cartoons, right?
No. Yeah, very close, but no.
Oh,
Webtoons is it's an online platform, and they've got comics up there, and the comics are generally free, but you can pay to get more. And they're putting up DC just put up a Batman comic, and it's free.
okay. I
And
like Batman, but
yeah,
another one?
I know it is another. Well, this one is about Batman as a kind of a silly dad, and his all the Robins are having crazy adventures, and so that is the comic they're doing now. A lot of Batman fans read that and go, "This is terrible,"
So
but
it's like Gotham City, the sitcom.
it's like Gotham City, the sitcom. But the kids read that and go, "Oh, this is funny. Look, the Robins are fighting over a cookie. This is hilarious." So they are happy because they're getting something free,
Oh,
and
yeah, if
they're
it's for
getting
kids, I guess that's okay.
it works. So that's a good thing. That DC doing it there is a good thing. They're getting an audience. They're getting kids introduced to Batman. That's going to help them out because when some of those kids will get very excited about Batman and say, "I want to know more," and that's when they go to a comic shop and start buying the comics. So that's a good thing. What DC
Yeah.
what these companies have to do though is in the comic shop, they have to make sure that existing audience is happy, that those people have been buying comics for 30, 40 years, the old people who are still alive, they they need comics they will enjoy.
Well, I've got a lot of comic books here, and
Yeah,
I'd hate to stop buying them now myself. I mean, I've
sure.
got my first Superman is in a box over there, and like my first Spider-Man is in a box over there, and
Yeah,
my first Vampirella is tucked under my bed.
yeah.
But I just everybody says they're going away, and it scares me, and I don't want that. I want them to stay around.
Well, comics aren't going to go away, but they are changing, and we may not like what they change into. We don't have control over that, and that's tough. But comics are going to be around for quite some time. We just might not like what they are.
Are they gonna stay paper though? I mean, if you're gonna have a store, what are you gonna do? Have a bunch of computer terminals up and people just come over and log on and watch their webtoons right there in your store?
Well, that would be a very smelly store, but
Yeah.
it would. No, I think paper is around. Paper will be around for a while, and for one reason, people are not even though everybody has a phone. Not everybody has a tablet. Not everyone has a place to read these comics, and until there is a place for them to read it, they're going to continue to print comics. People have been predicting that books are going to go away for 20 years, and they're still here. They will go away someday, but I'll probably be dead by then, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I hope I am too.
Yeah,
Because I like books. I'm actually sitting on 2 books so I can get in the camera.
that's perfect.
I
No,
need a booster seat.
books are going to continue to be fine. There will definitely be books because people do like to read. They like to have that experience, and someday there will be there will be everything will go digital, but that's a long way off.
Okay, so like if anybody wants to ask you questions about comics, I know
Yeah,
they can find you on Twitter at Comic Perch
Yeah,
on
yeah.
Twitter. But how else can people, reach out to you and, share their comic stories and concerns and worries and stuff?
Well, I think people can send me mail. I think if anywhere on my channel there's my mail, it's comics with an S perch at gmail.com. I try and go through and answer what I can. I'm way backed up. I've got probably about 2,000 emails I need to get through, which is way too many, but I slowly get through them all. And I love answering questions. I love kind of hearing what people have to say. And there's a lot of confusion out there right now about comics. So I do wish more people would ask questions.
Yeah, I think asking questions is a good idea, folks. So do that.
It is.
And if you want to ask me questions, I have an email address, and
Perfect.
you can email me at is he on there? Yeah, marmalade@criticalblast.com, and I will write back to you. And I'll try to answer whatever questions you ask. But I'm only 9 and I'm a fuzzy orange monster, so I'll do my best. Okay?
That's perfect.
So anyhow, Mr. Perch, thank you so much for coming on my show and for talking about comics. And you make me feel better.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I want people to feel better. Things are not as terrible as they sound. It just, things could be better too.
Yeah. And I guess the one last question for me.
Sure.
What can I do to make comics better?
The best thing you can do is when you buy something you like or when you read something you like, make sure people hear about it. This is one area where we can do a lot more for comics. Is right now the people who are maybe do not have the best interest in comics in their heart. They may be trying to change comics in a way that appeals to them but does not help anybody else. They're very noisy. They're on Facebook, they're on Twitter, they're everywhere constantly talking about this all the time. They're posting and they're retweeting and they're making a lot of noise about what they want. But in a lot of cases, people who love comics, they tend to kind of stick to themselves. They may talk a little bit to themselves, but they don't make a big amount of noise about it. And they get scared off too easily. Sometimes they start posting stuff that's very positive. They start spreading the message, but then they get discouraged. Maybe they get some bad feedback and they just go, it's not worth it. Making that noise helps. It lets people know what is attractive to people, lets people know what people are interested in, and also it helps protect things. If you really like a character, the more you post about it, the more you tweet about it, the more noise you make about it, the more likely it is that character is going to stay the same.
So if you like a comic, tell people, because if you don't, then only the people who don't like it will talk, and then they'll quit making that comic.
That's right. They're going to make the comics. They're going to make stuff you don't like. The more you say, the better. It's cheap. It's free. It helps. It helps more than you realize. It definitely helps.
You are a very wise man. Do you live on a mountain?
No, I'm just drunk.
I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you, everybody, for showing up. Thank you, Mr. Perch, for being here. It was really, really fun talking to you. And
Absolutely.
I hope that everybody learned something while they were here. So with that, I'm just going to wave bye. Thanks for coming to the Marmalade Show. And we'll be back next week. I don't know with who. I'm going to try to get Mr. Don Chin on here and talk. I think that'd be fun. I was on his show earlier, and it was a lot of fun. So until then, see everybody. Oh, okay. Hit the button. Why do you always lose the button?